Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another night of Sim Racers Club Premier Series action here on the National Racing Network. My name is Chris Graham alongside Patrick Byrne. And I tell you what here, Bizzle, we got a week off, but we're already at the halfway point of the season here. So we went from that early 4-race stretch. You get a tiny break. Now all of a sudden we're going hot and heavy here. We've only got one more week off in the next 6, and we're going to be crowning a champion sooner than later.
Yeah, and I missed last week. Did Avila end up winning that one? I haven't reviewed it yet.
Well, yeah, last week they were off, but it was 2 weeks ago. Will Worsler getting the win at Dover. So we do not have an undefeated season anymore. However, only Johnny Avila and Will Worsler have those wins. That sort of, to me, is the big question as we head into Richmond here tonight, as practice has just finished up. Can anybody else take down Johnny Avila and maybe Will Worsler?
I'm not sure. Richmond is a very, very tough track. It's a very racy track. It's a short track that thinks it's a super speedway. So I intend to see a lot of really, really close, really tight, and really heavy contact racing tonight.
Yeah, that would not surprise me here to take see any of that stuff going on. And we do have a really good points battle going on. Oh, is Johnny Avila going to slide it loose off of turn number 1? But, man, that's absolutely going to kill the lap. Lap 1 is not going to be good, and he's going to have to make the time here on lap number 2. Avila is leading the point standings, entering tonight's race with a 24-point lead over Troy Haight and Taylor Seville. Tyler and Troy both having very good seasons, but not anywhere close to what Johnny Avila's done. This really is going to be a test to see, are we in a battle for second place, I guess is the question at this point.
I don't think so. I think it's still too early to call him locked into the championship. However, he's definitely heading towards that way.
Yeah, that's... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he does lock himself in here in the later weeks, but I still think someone else has time to rise up, maybe dial themselves in, and take that crown away.
Johnny Avila moves to the top of the speed charts, 22.371 seconds, 120.692 miles per hour. Jason Franks moving up to second on the board at a 22.597. That's going to be 119.485 miles an hour. Will Worsler only going to be fifth quick at a 22.748, almost a half second back of where Johnny Avila is here in qualifications. I'll tell you what, that's a pretty monster lap that we saw Johnny Avila put up, considering the fact that his tires were probably garbage after that big slide in turn 1.
I disagree. Those tires were probably perfect temperature right after that spin.
I say heat them up, burn them off a little bit, and get the good off them, right?
Yeah, there you go. I wouldn't be surprised if during the race we see a lot of just spins and stuff like that. This track is notorious for being incredibly, incredibly loose, entering turns 1 and exiting turn 4. Just coming off of that D-oval part of the track and onto it, it really just tears the car up and makes you want to hit that outside wall.
Yeah, and taking a look at some of the historical numbers here for the series, Richmond has not always been the friendliest of racetracks here. This is actually the 12th different race for the Sim Racers Club Premier Series at this racetrack. 7 different winners, 65 cautions over those 11 races. 6 per race is the average. However, the other one we're hoping to see is the lead change number. 76 in total over the course of 11 races, averaging 7 lead changes per race. Divide the numbers out here, 200 laps divided by an average of 7 lead changes, and we're going to get a number that I can't do off the top of my head, so I'm going to pull the calculator out. About every 28 laps or so, we get a lead change. This is going to be interesting because the numbers that we're hearing here, Patrick, 100 to 120 to maybe 130 laps for the pit window. That really is, it makes this a one-stop race, and this should be hard charged the whole way.
Yeah, fuel is not going to be an issue here. As long as you stop right around halfway, you're golden. Tires are going to be the bigger issue here, especially that right rear. You're going to be burning that thing off the whole night, and I don't know if you're going to be able to make that full fuel window without burning off the right rear to where it just sends you and the rest of the field in that outside wall. It's a very, very tricky track to conquer.
I guess the question then becomes, are we looking at a situation where the timing of cautions is really what's going to be the deciding factor in how this race plays out? Because if you stop too early, you're going to be hosed. Stop too late, you're going to be hosed because you're getting caught by everybody who was able to run up front and run those better, newer tires. You're sort of damned if you do and damned if you don't a little bit.
Yeah, with a tire strategy like this, you see a lot of stuff like you do in Formula One with the overcut, undercut strategies, where is it better to pit early and get those faster lap times on the fresh rubber, or is it better to stay out longer and try and squeeze some extra life out of there and maybe cut out a pit stop or two? So it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys do it. Yellows are going to be a huge factor too. Passing is very difficult this track. You can run it 2, maybe even 3 wide through the corners, but it just gets so loose to where if you try and get the power on early on the high side, you're going to end up spinning those rear tires, so you got to take it slow and easy exiting the turns.
Taking a look here at the number 18 of John Eckhart out of Hazel Green, Alabama. The M&M's Interstate Batteries. Toyota Camry wrapping up his qualification run. Lap number 1 didn't get on the board. Lap number 2 does not either. That car already banged up a little bit. That's not the way you want to start the weekend here. Have not seen Tony Patton and Richard Fletcher out on the racetrack yet either. What a ride, everybody. Check in here in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Hopefully you are having a wonderful Wednesday evening, enjoying your hump day as we get ready for 200 laps around Richmond Raceway. Down to 3 and change minutes, so still a little bit of time here for Patton and Fletcher to get out on the racetrack. But as it sits right now, it's going to be Johnny Avila who will be your provisional pole sitter. 22.371 seconds, 120.692 miles per hour, the quick lap time there for Avila. The numbers leading into tonight, and there's a lot of them here. A couple of storylines that we're going to be following. Tim Knott is making career start number 150 in the series tonight, and he's going to do it from the front row. Will Worsler was looking for pole position number 25 on his career. That one's not going to happen. He will start tonight's race in at least the 8th position. Troy Haight could earn top 10 finish number 50 tonight in his 139th career start. What that tells me, Patrick, is that is a driver who's been around a long time and has improved season over season. That type of driver gets to be really dangerous, and we're seeing it here tonight. Troy going to start, looks like from the 3rd position. You're going to be on the inside for the start of this one. Really the kind of progress that it's fun to watch a driver make.
Exactly. It's just like what we saw with Kyle Larson. I mean, Kyle Larson came into NASCAR. He was always kind of up there, doing all right, and then these last 2 seasons, now that he's moved to Hendrick Motorsports, kid's been on fire, and it's been fun to watch him, especially same thing, just like with Bubba Wallace. Never really a front-runner kind of guy. Last season, we saw him win a race. We saw him stay up front. It's fun to watch the underdog come up and end up being the guy you got to beat.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we're going to watch Troy here. He put on a hell of a show just a couple of weeks ago, and sitting second in points, tied with Tyler Seville. This is a story of opposites in these two guys. If you look down the all-time records list, especially among active drivers, you are going to find Tyler Seville's name all over it. 155 career starts. That is most overall. Second overall in most polls at 13. He is towards the top of the board, column 6th in average starting position, second in wins. This is a guy who has been around this series a long time and is doing some, just kind of record-breaking type things. And then you've got Troy Haight, who's worked his way up the ladder. This is really fun to see, and quite frankly, it's what I love about the iRacing platform. Yeah, there's a little bit of the setup games and all that crap that goes on, but the reality is, as your talent improves, you're going to see your finishes improve.
Exactly. And another big thing of that is just sticking with one car. My whole time on iRacing, I bounce around from car to car, just having fun, going with everything. One season, I picked the Silver Crown and stuck with it. I got more wins in that season. I think I doubled my win count, really. It's sticking to one car, getting really good at something, and you'll absolutely succeed. You will get a million times better, and you'll be one of the front runners quicker than you think you will.
Couple of drivers of note tonight here. Carlos Acosta will be out. The driver who was entering tonight's race, sitting 13th in points and 63 out of the championship lead. He is having issues, some health issues. We hope you feel well there, Carlos. Also, Corey Silva mentioning that he's had some pretty significant issues with the VR headset since the last update. Looks like we will not see Corey in tonight's race either. Qualifications have wrapped up. It is time to get you the starting lineup for tonight's 200-lap feature event here at the Richmond Raceway. Starting on the pole for this one, in the number 63 out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the Bulldog Roofworks Ford Mustang of Johnny Avila. Lining up alongside, out of Dallas, Texas, the Gunskins Penske Shock Century 21 Mike Bowman Toyota of Tim Knott. Row number 2 will have Bethlehem, Pennsylvania's Thrustmaster number 28 of Troy Haight. Outside of row number 2, out of Clearwater, Florida, the Arch Telecom PNC Bank Ford number 11 to Tyler Seville. Inside of row number 3, piloting car number 7 out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Allergan Restasis Toyota of Jason Franks. Starting on the outside of that row in the number 44, Athol, Massachusetts, Mike Whiting in the Brookside Equipment and Sales Ford Mustang. Inside of row number 4 will be the number 17, Mooresville, North Carolina's Kevin Stone, the RS Custom Paint Famucci Wear Desert Hobbies Ford Mustang. Lining up to his outside in the number 29 out of New Johnsonville, Tennessee, the Willoughby Roofing and Sheet Metal Custom Paints and Die-Cast High Flow Industrial Ford Mustang of our last winner, Will Worsler. Inside of row number 5 will be the 14 Chevrolet Camaro Custom Paints and Die-Casts on the side of that one for Alliance, Ohio native AJ Digby. On the outside of that 5th row will be the number 23 of Richard Smith Jr. out of Val-de-Mont, Quebec, Canada. Chantal Dumont RMT, Kneading Bowl Foods, Ashton Dixon Youth Empowerment, Toyota Camry. Row number 6 is the number 45, Hazel Green, Alabama's John Eckhart. M&M's Interstate Batteries on the side of that Camry. The 86 of Wendover, Ontario, Canada's Tony Patton lines up on the outside of the 6th row here this evening. Starting all alone in row number 7, Thomasville, North Carolina's Richard Fletcher, the Custom Paints and Die-Cast Ford Mustang. Field already down the back straightaway on pace lap number 2. We are getting ready to go green flag racing. Pace truck is in, and as always, race fans, the start of this one, it's going to be all yours. First lap going to be in the books cleanly, and it will belong to Johnny Avila. Everybody getting themselves lined up pretty well, single file here. First real battle for position. Oh, a big move there. Good Lord.
Not smacking the wall a little bit.
I was going to say, not knocking the wall down. Haight, Seville, Franks all having to take big evasive moves there. I'll tell you what here, Patrick, little bit of a surprise to see some aggressive driving like that early on. This really is a 200-lap marathon at this point tonight.
I don't think that was aggressive driving. I think he just got loose coming out of 2 and had to chase it up and ended up having the wall catch him a little bit.
Trouble on the racetrack. Will Worsler going around off of turn number 2. Let's get you the instant replay here on this one. Take a look and see what happened to Will Worsler as he got down into turn number 1. Oh, just touched the inside a little bit. Snaps the back end around. Little bit of a kiss.
Yep, this track has the same rule as the Iowa Motor Speedway. They're two very, very similar tracks. Iowa was built to pretty much replicate this track. And that rule is the yellow line is death. Do not touch it. If you ever played The Floor is Lava as like a 5 or 6 year old, that yellow line is lava. You stay away from that thing.
Yes. In fact, I was just hearing my 7-year-old bouncing off the walls a little bit ago. Seeing Nikki Worsler checking into the comments. Thank you very much for hanging out with us here, Miss Nikki. We appreciate it. 7 laps in the books. Now, if we're going to look at what the possibilities are in terms of overcut versus undercut, I guess in theory you could go out to lap 120, possibly even lap 130. That's going to get you to the end. However, if we work it backwards,
lap 80.
Yeah, you're looking at it right about lap number 80. That's where the window opens to make it on fuel. The question becomes, what do you do if we get a caution here? Let's say we get one here in the first 20 or so laps. I would imagine you probably don't want to burn off a set of tires yet.
Well, how many sets of tires do you have for the night?
4. So I believe 3 in the box and the one you started the race with. Maybe, actually, no, 4 dry, I should say. The rule was 4 dry, so you have 4 in the box.
With 4 in the box, I would say if you're one of those guys that are towards the back of the field, maybe 6th on back, you stop in there. You got nothing to lose. Take that fresh set of tires and try and make yourself up a couple positions.
See the 7 of Jason Franks almost giving a little bit of a tap here to Tyler Seville on the entry to turn number 1. This really is a racetrack where you can be aggressive on corner entry, but it may cost you on the exit. And you can just as soon back the corner up early, slow yourself down, and use that to power off the corner.
Yeah, this track is really fun, and there's more ways to drive it than there's probably fans in the seats. This track is absolutely fantastic for racing. Not so much in the too wide, crazy kind of racing, but just in the different ways everyone drives this track, which makes it really fun to race with a good group of guys like this.
Seeing Franks take a look up on the high side on the entrance to turn number 1. Not sure how much that's going to work tonight. Do you think we'll see the outside come in, or is this going to be more of a bump and run kind of race?
I am not sure. In cars like the PM18, you can absolutely get on that outside, little open wheel car like that. The Gen 6 car, I believe, is more just single file, thaw the leader, bump them out of the way. This new Gen 7 car, though, some tracks it feels like it drives like an open wheeler, and some tracks it still drives like Gen 6 car, so I believe we'll just have to wait and see.
One of the things that was very interesting to see in the real world Clash at the Coliseum last weekend, you could absolutely beat the crap out of those race cars until you couldn't. It was like especially suspension components. You bang them just the right way, you were going to break them. Is that something that iRacing has managed to get into the sim where you can be a little bit rougher on these race cars?
I don't believe we have the new damage model on these cars yet. However, from what I saw with Tim Knott smacking the wall, that would have ended your night in a Gen 6 car, and he's still up there running fast laps sitting in second place. So I would definitely say these things are a lot tougher than the old car, even on iRacing.
Seeing the 11 of Tyler Seville down inside of Troy Haight. He'll get the pass completed for the third position. Jason Frank's going to have a peek to the outside. One of the big things that we have to keep in mind here too, Patrick, is this is a fixed setup league. You really have to make the car fit your driving style without being able to adjust on it.
Yeah, really the only thing that you can adjust to fit your driving style is the steering ratio, and that's something a lot of guys play with in these fixed setup races. Some guys like that wheel, you turn it just a little bit, and the car really turns. And some guys like to crank the wheel like 700 degrees just to get it to turn a little bit. And while that doesn't sound like it changed how the car handles, you have a quicker steering, and the car will feel a lot looser. Even if it really isn't, it'll feel looser, and if you have a much slower steering, the car will feel tighter just because you got to throw more wheel into it. And that can be a huge advantage. And if these guys have figured out what they like, what they don't like, it can really help you out.
The other one I would imagine that comes into play is brake bias. I don't know how heavy you're going to be on the brakes to corner entry here, but you move that a little bit forward, you're going to loosen the back end up, get it back a little bit, you're going to tighten the car up a little. But actually, you got to be careful with how you set it, though.
I don't want to correct you on that, but I'm going to. It's the other way around. You crank that to the back, that car's going to want to come around on you. And the more rearward you put that brake bias, the faster the car is going to be, the harder you can go into the corner, until a point. As soon as you lock those rear tires up, you are now trying to save a race car. So it's really a matter of who's more comfortable moving it back more than the other guys. And that's another one of the ways you could really get ahead in these fixed setup series.
Tyler Seville having the peek down to the inside of the 41 of Tim Knott. Going to try to bring Troy Haight with him. We'll see if Haight's going to be able to get inside. He does not.
Oh, he gets slot right back in line.
Yeah, good corner exit speed there by Tim Knott. That's something that we'll see here at Richmond. You can run a little bit higher lane and help your corner exit speed a little bit.
You run a little bit higher than that, though, and
yeah,
you're going to run into issues. Troy Haight's now looking down the inside. I believe he's going to jump one of these times. Misses the corner. He's now running a little bit high. Is he going to get the run off the exit? I don't think so. I think he just missed the entry there.
This is going to be fun to watch this race develop here, and especially if you don't get to take a set of tires at any point other than at the pit stop. That could really make things ugly. But something else that we sort of have to keep in our heads here, if you try the undercut, you are 100% in the danger zone, because Richmond is not an easy pit lane to get on and off of.
No, it is not. Because to get into that pit lane, like we were discussing before with that yellow line being lava, you got to run right over that yellow line right in the lava zone. And it will attenuate your car pretty quickly.
Yeah, the slightest bit too much speed and you hit the flat part of the racetrack and there's just nothing to help the car turn. Oh, big moment there for Jason Franks in the 7, and get the close-up on him here. You could see the brakes absolutely glowing on the front of that race car. Could that be a case of a little bit more front brake bias than what we're seeing some of the others run?
Yeah, and it looks like he's relying really heavily on those brakes, which is going to heat up the front tires a lot more. It's going to wear the front tires a lot more, and that's why you see him kind of missing the corner a little bit here and there. If I was his crew chief or his spotter, I'd be letting him know, dial that brake bias rearward a little more, try and get a little more bite in the mid-center. And
oh, there's contact! Oh, what a save!
The corner.
I was going to say.
Oh, man. He was asking for help getting around, and he got it.
Yeah, almost Punterino there by Kevin Stone. Call it short track racing at its finest, though.
I believe Broadbent has that term trademarked. I don't think we could use that one.
Well, tough luck. There's the replay of the contact. At a little bit slower speed, so not too much potential damage inflicted there.
This car looks a good bit easier to save than the Gen 6 car, even if it is a little more on edge, which is going to be really fun to see because we're going back to that Gen 4 era where these cars were a handful to drive, really difficult, but you could still catch a save, you could still slide the car around a corner, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm curious to see if we get any blowovers this year. That'd be fantastic.
Wad them up early and often at the World Center of Speed next week. In terms of the ability to save the car, is that helped by the independent rear suspension that these drivers now have to work with?
Oh, absolutely. The independent rear suspension really gives you a lot more to lean on because instead of it being in a solid axle like you'd find in a truck, it's independent rear like you'd see in a sports car, like in a Ferrari, or even Ford was doing it with the Thunderbirds back in the 90s. It makes these cars handle a million times better. They're a little more on edge on the ovals, but there's a lot more to lean on when you do get them a little out there. A little sideways, hang the back end out. You've got something to catch it.
These guys are already catching up to Will Worsler, who had that half spin very early on in this race. Will has gone a lap down to race leader Johnny Avila. Tyler Seville has also checked out on this battle. Tim Knott may not be very quick right now, but he's doing a good job of keeping everybody behind him. The gap is 2 and change seconds to second place Tyler Seville. A full second and a half on top of that to Johnny Avila. Call it just over 4 seconds, the gap here from Troy Haight up to your race leader. Something we're going to have to watch here as the race goes on here, Patrick, is just the sense of timing of this thing. 34 laps into this one, and we've just crossed the 13-minute mark. If you go caution-free around Richmond, 200 laps goes very, very quickly.
Yeah, this track races like a much, much larger track. This track's not even a mile long. It's 3/4 of a mile long, a little bit bigger than Bristol, but they're running just as fast around here. I mean, in qualifying, we were setting 120-mile-an-hour laps, which is outrageous to think of for a short track and big, heavy, low downforce cars like these.
Will Worsler making his way down pit lane. Let's take a look here, see what the if there's a repair that's going to have to go on or what the issue may be here for Will Worsler. But here he is hitting his box. He will come to the attention of the crew. And that's it. Looks like, yeah, he's going to pop out of the car. Looks like Will Worsler may be done for the evening.
Yeah, he got unlucky there. When he hit that inside wall, he bounced off it and kept it rolling. Caution never came out, so he's never had a chance to get that fixed. I wonder if he just went a lap or two down and decided it was just time to park it.
Yeah, it's almost feels like there's some sort of a damage issue or something going on with the car there. The other thing to keep in mind is the league does have the penalty points and strike system. He had a self-spin, didn't bring out the caution flag. But another self-spin could be a big issue here, even potentially leading to having to sit out a week.
That's something we'll need to check up on, but if it doesn't bring out the caution, he didn't spin it all the way around, I don't think that should be a penalty. I think he should be all right. As we now have 2x2 racing here. Is this for second place? These guys are really
third place.
Now.
Yep, third place. Tim Knott, Troy Haight battling side by side. AJ Digby and Mike Whiting going to town.
I mean, this pack isn't as deep as a pack you'd see at Daytona or Talladega, but for a short track, you don't normally get pack racing like this. This is fantastic.
Oh,
As we have
big
one going around
contact!
into the inside grass.
Caution
That's
is
gonna
out.
bring out the yellow.
A.J. Digby going around on the front straightaway. Troy Haight going to be involved in that one as well. He is able to get the car rolling.
I believe they both had some help, and they both gave help. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, looks like it would. Troy definitely got some help getting the car turned around.
Oh, man, you can see how hard he hit the grass there. I wonder if that's going to mess up the splitter of the car.
Let's see what the, well, yeah, maybe a little bit of contact coming off the corner.
The 14 looks like got away relatively safe,
Oh.
and so did the 28, just until he hit that grass. He hit the grass with a little too much speed. I feel like that's going to damage the front of the car a little bit.
So coming in here at lap number 42, it'll be everybody on the lead lap. Richard Smith already in the pit lane as well. Smith in the 23. So I would assume pack the thing full of fuel and then take your 4 tires and see what's going to come from it. Stops here at lap 42. We're going to get you possibly out to lap 171 as like an absolute maximum. That's not going to be the easiest of runs to make. You can't make the finish. So at this point, I guess we're in full-on 2-stop strategy territory and kind of let things roll from there.
Yeah, this gets rid of that whole overcut-undercut thing. Because these guys are still going to have to make another stop. They either have the choice of, if they stay green flag, going under green flag between 80 and 120, or holding it out, waiting, hoping the yellow comes out later in the race and the whole field dives down again.
That's still going to put you in the position, though, of not having fresh tires there when everybody else behind you will. So it's almost like if you get that, it's almost like the lap 80 stop isn't an option, but maybe something out at that lap 120 or so range, maybe that could be an answer. So let's take a look here at the race off of pit road. Well, we don't even have the numbers yet on that one. Johnny Avila, stop time 14.63 seconds. 14.73, the pit stop time for Tim Knott. Tyler Seville going to be third off of pit lane at 16.20 on the time of the stop for Tyler. Mike Whiting up to the 4th position, 14.93, the time of the stop there. 14.85 for 5th place, Jason Franks for 4 fresh. Goodyear Racing, Eagles, 2 cans, Sunoco Fuel.
I'm trying to do some math in my head. I think there's still an overcut-undercut kind of thing going on. Because if you can only get to lap 170, caution doesn't come out. Then the question becomes, is it better to pit 130, 140? The only guy that the undercut would hurt him is Johnny Avila. He has to take that overcut. He is the leader. He has to stay out there. If he pits too early and everyone stays out, caution comes out, he gets screwed. You go a lap down at this track if you pit under green. So he's kind of forced where he is, where everyone else can play the game of, I'm sitting here 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I want to win this race. I'm going to pit now, grab fresh tires, and maybe the caution comes out, maybe it doesn't, but I'm going to make up time on Johnny Avila.
Approaching the 1/4 distance mark. That was Nicky Wursler with the boo, by the way. Not real thrilled with Will going out of the race here. Safety truck is going to come in this time. Johnny Avila, Tim Knott going to lead the field back to green. Fantastic restart for Avila. He will easily be your race leader. Here comes Tyler Seville looking to the inside and Knott. They say cautions breed cautions. We've got 2 packs of cars already starting to develop.
Cautions breed caution is just multiplied at this track. It is so difficult to pass here. You're going to see some really, really aggressive moves here while everyone is still relatively close together.
And the reality is fresh tires do not come in the first lap. It takes you a couple of laps to get the heat build up in them, and then you can really go on the attack.
Yeah, here in these first couple laps, you're going to see who practiced restarts, who practiced driving out there on fresh tires, and who didn't. And it looks like Johnny Avila has got that dialed in.
He looks good, and so does Tyler Seville, coming around Tim Knott to claim the second position, not moving back to the third position. Trouble on the racetrack. Cautions breed cautions. Number 3 coming out this time. Trouble for Kevin Stone. Let's take a look, see what happened here to the 17 machine. Oh, just a little bit too hot on entry. Ooh. That
Didn't
was
hit anything. That's a save.
It didn't hit anything. He wrecked. He just didn't finish it. But a tough break there for the Mooresville, North Carolina native. He is going to have to restart from the back of the field. And that whole part of taking the good off the tires, that's not really how you want to do it.
Like I said in the pre-race, on cold tires here, turn 1, turn 4 is going to be deadly. This restart, I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone spin again, either in turn 1 or turn 4. You got to get heat in these tires before they actually grab the racing surface. For that, it's like driving on ice.
Haven't taken a look at this one yet, but let's check out the weather conditions presented by our friends at the Weather Center. Offensively accurate weather for eastern Pennsylvania. Check out the club, their new membership program at theweathercenter.com. 71-degree ambient temperature. Winds going to be out of the southwest at 2 miles an hour. 73-degree track temperature. Maybe a little bit on the cool side, but that just means the motors are going to make power, and it might take an extra lap or so to get the tires up to temp.
The nice thing about the cool track, though, once those tires get up to temp, they're like glue on this racing surface. A colder track is better as long as your tires are warm. It just takes forever to get them there.
One of the numbers that we tend to look at a little bit here, incidents per race, we have some drivers that have been absolutely spectacular in that department. 7th place, Tony Patton, currently leads all drivers, averaging 1.25 incidents per race in his rookie season. It sort of begs the question, though, Patrick, is it possible to be too clean where you're just not pushing hard enough, you're not fast enough?
If we were in Indy cars, I would say no, but these are full-bodied stock cars. They're meant to bump a little bit, they're meant to push a little bit. If you're getting a 4X every race or more than 1 every race, I would say you're doing something wrong. If you're getting a 0X throughout the whole season, you're doing something wrong too. Sometimes you got to move the leader out of the way, you got to move someone out of your way. And the only way to do that is getting a couple incident points.
And even things like the little half spin. I mean, iRacing will give you a 2X for loss of control for what we saw out of Kevin Stone there. It's almost like you have to cross the edge to find it.
Yes. And to really, really be fast, you got to be right on that edge. Obviously, don't want to cross it like we saw here, but if you go too far under that edge, you're not going anywhere. You're just turning laps, making circles. And nobody wins race going in circles.
Yeah, even things like you're not getting the tires all the way up to temperature. I mean, there is an operating range that they work well in. It's not like warm is good enough. You do need to really kind of push things a little bit to hit that kind of peak operating window. Coming back for the restart, Johnny Avila, Tyler Seville on road number 1, Tim Knott, Jason Franks on row 2, Mike Whiting, John Eckhart, row 3, Troy Haight, Tony Patton, row 4, AJ Digby, Richard Fletcher, row 5, Kevin Stone, the final car on the lead lap. Green flags back in the air. We're underway once again, and we may see a little bit of a battle for the lead here. Big dive by Tim Knott to the inside. Slide job, turn
Big
one.
slide. 3 wide down the back straightaway. Oh, man.
Oh, big slide up the racetrack for John Eckhart. That car went dead straight on corner entry. Troy Haight has recovered from his early issue here. He's now back running in the 6th position. Little bit of a connection issue there for Troy, but
I have a feeling some of these slides going into the corner we're seeing is these guys dialing the brake bias too far forward. You want to tune it forward a little bit on the restarts with cold tires just because it's very tough.
Oh, big contact! Contact the 44 of Mike Whiting goes, well, halfway around.
I don't think that was enough around to get a 2X. I think that was a perfectly good save. Even if it's brought him to the back of the pack, he's still got a race car to go race back up there to the front.
It was a 180. The Russian judge scored it an 8. Johnny Avila just setting the fastest lap of the race. 22.469. The lap time for Johnny Avila. It's interesting. Something maybe we'll try to check in here with Will Worsler on, but he's mentioned before this next-gen car just does not suit his driving style. He is not a fan of running this car. Begs the question of, if you're going to be frustrated with the car, what do you go out there and turn the laps for?
I would say if he's going to be frustrated at the car and he's not doing good at the car, I would say get out there. Even if you're a ton of laps down, get out there, get used to racing against people. You've got nothing to lose at this point. So many laps down, you're going to finish last anyway. Get out there, try and get more comfortable with it, and try to just have fun with it. At this point, you have no other option than to just have fun. So get back on track and go turn some laps.
Yeah, and it's definitely not going to help things in points. After the win at Dover, Worsler gained 4 spots to move up inside the top 5 and within 2 of second place in points. This is going to be an absolute season killer here tonight with a last place finish. Troy Haight having the big dive up the inside of Tim Knott. Kind of interesting to see how many of these race cars have the damage on the right-hand side of the machine. We'll see it here on the 41. That bodywork is scraped up. The wrap is junk. But the car body itself looks okay. That's something that it's going to take some getting used to, especially for us here in the booth. With the composite bodies, we can't necessarily pinpoint the damage that these cars may have.
Yeah, these bodies are going to pop right back out like your bumper might if you get rear-ended on the highway. So it hides a ton of the damage, but it also doesn't take a lot of damage. They're built like tanks now. One thing I am noticing, though, I was getting a little confused because these walls here at Richmond have the same red and white stripes, just like Darlington. And I was almost thinking there were Darlington stripes on the side of the cars until I saw the big Richmond sign on the front straightaway.
Yes, the bumpers pop back out unless you drive a Honda Fit, but that's...
We don't talk about that.
That's another story for another time.
Oh, yeah.
Taking a look here, things have absolutely settled down. Let's run you through the field from front to back here. There is the Bulldog Roof Works, number 63, a race leader, Johnny Avila. He's led every lap from the drop of the green flag after putting that car on the pole position. Up to second position, up a couple tonight, is the number 11 of Clearwater, Florida's Tyler Seville. One of the longest tenured drivers here in the Sim Racers Cup Premier Series. Like we mentioned earlier, his name is all over the top of the active drivers leaderboard charts. Running third is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania's Jason Franks. Very consistent run tonight, up 2 spots, benefiting a little bit from some of the drivers that have had issues, but good run for Jason there, keeping that car on the podium thus far as we work lap number 68. First driver to lose positions tonight is the 41 of Tim Knott. He's down 2 after qualifying on the outside of the front row. Dallas, Texas native. Not having a bad run tonight, but probably not what he would have hoped for on raw pace. Same goes for the 28 of Troy Haight, the Bethlehem, Pennsylvania native. Thrustmaster on the side of that race car. Not a great night, not a bad night, but not a great night either for Troy at this point in the race. Hard Charger Award so far going to belong to the 86 of Wendover, Ontario's Tony Patton. Tony is up 6 spots tonight. There hasn't been that much attrition. The car looks and feels good. Don't see a ton of damage on the right-hand side of it yet. That car in pretty darn good shape. Running just back behind him, the 14. This car's got damage on both sides of it. He's been through the infield and looped around. That is the 14 of Alliance, Ohio's AJ Digby. Digby is not having a whole lot of fun here tonight. That car's been bounced around and all over the place. Now he's got Kevin Stone all over the rear end. Mooresville, North Carolina native. Down 1 spot after a, what are we calling that, Bizzle? A half spin, I guess it was?
I think he was just practicing his drifting skills.
Yes, it was a wreck that he didn't finish. Has him down 1 spot back in the 8th position. Running in 9th, John Eckhart, the M&M's Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry. Rounding out the top 10 is the 44 of Mike Whiting, another driver who just nearly went around in turns 1 and 2. Brookside Equipment Sales on the side of that Ford Mustang. Good battle going on here as we get to turn number 3. AJ Digby, Tony Patton, Kevin Stone, they're all fighting for position. Stone going to have the peak down to the inside of Patton towards turn 1, not close enough. And things are staying tight at the front here as well. In fact, they're closing in pretty rapidly. You wonder, though, here, Patrick, now that we've settled into the green flag run, is this Johnny Avila trying to save some tires here to make sure you don't have to stop early?
I would think so, because he is the only car that loses if he takes the undercut. So he has to preserve the equipment he's got. He's got to wait till everyone else starts pitting behind him, and then he can dive into the pits. So he's going to want to extend this run as long as he possibly can.
You almost wonder, is this a scenario where Avila can, basically everybody else is going to do what he doesn't. If he comes in early, everybody else is going to stay out. If he stays out, the undercut becomes viable for everybody else. It's almost like you're in a lose-lose situation unless you get the caution flag and everybody has to come with you.
Yeah, he could make out good if he surprises everyone and pits here. Lap 80, lap 90 comes around, he takes everyone by surprise, dives into the pit, and everyone else just follows him in. He could come out on top doing it that way, but it's just, you're taking the gamble on, does everyone else come in? So, it's really a lose-lose unless he hits Lotto.
Which I believe Ty Dillon, there was a comment made in the booth about Ty Dillon on that on Sunday. Hit everything but the lottery.
There was.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I believe he would have been disqualified from too many incident points if this were iRacing.
He did absolutely beat the crap out of that race car. I'll tell you what, though, that was a fun show to watch. If you were watching for pure racing, you missed the point. That was a show that NASCAR put on out there at the Coliseum.
Same reason I go to the indoor tracks to watch the indoor racing. It's just fun to watch.
Slide back in the pack here. John Eckhart wearing out the back bumper of the 44. Oh, man, what a save, though. That car was all over the place. Now we're going to have Mike Whiting going to work on Tony Patton. This is the battle for the 8th position.
Don't believe you're supposed to saw at the wheel that much going down the back straightaway.
Yeah, he was wood chopping down the back stretch. And as we talked about things settling down and being maybe in a little bit of a tire save mode. Oh, we've got Tony Patton up into the outside safer barrier on the entrance to turn 1. That was a pretty big hit, actually. Let's bring up the instant replay here. Car just did not turn, missed the entry. Not too big of a hit, I guess.
I was going to say, that car still looks perfectly fine. We'll have to look at his lap speed, but he still seems to be keeping up all right.
Next closest battle on the racetrack right now is going to be Tim Knott and Troy Haight, separated by about half a second. It's 1.7 ahead to Jason Franks, another full second ahead to Tyler Seville, another second and a half to Johnny Avila. So these guys are 4.5. Still, and I guess now, Patrick, we are in the window where you can make it to the end on fuel here. Actually, at lap 86, lap 87, that gets you out to 2:15. So that'll even cover you for the green-white checkers. At this point, now, does it change your thought process as a driver of now knowing that you're in the window to make your final stop?
It does a little bit. And some of these guys, like Tyler Seville, he looks like he just let Franks by. I would say he should come in, take that undercut. Come in now, they're setting lap times about a full second slower than their best lap times. You come in, you'll be a second faster lap. Even if you go a lap down, you only got to make up 22 of those seconds before you're back in the lead lap and chasing cars down.
Is it worth the risk of missing the pit entry, getting the pit speeding penalty, those kinds of things, where is the juice worth the squeeze, I guess is what I'm getting at.
If you're desperate for points to stay in contention, I say absolutely. If you don't go for the risk and you end up losing anyway, then should have taken the risk.
Slide back in the pack here. Good battle starting to form up. Tim Knott and A.J. Digby going after it for the 5th position. I tell you what, I know the drivers are probably not real happy with it, but these cars are beat up. They look like they've been through war, and there's only really been 12 of them out on the racetrack for most of this show.
This series, every time I watch them drive this next-gen car, I was skeptic at first. I honestly might have to watch the full season in NASCAR now. It's just been fantastic racing. They could beat the crap out of these cars. And they're still going fast. It's not even like you smack the wall and you're 10 seconds slow. They're still setting competitive lap times. Even that 14 car, there's not a straight body panel on that car. It's still going fast.
That was the interesting thing that I really took away from watching the clash. You made the wrong contact. If the wheels were turned and the wheels hit the wall, forget about it. The entire front corner of the car was garbage. But you could beat and bang off each other, and based on some of what we were hearing, the tandem and even the triple push could be an effective strategy when we go to Daytona this weekend. I'm really excited to see what these cars can do in the real world.
I was going to say, I know a lot of people weren't a fan of the car tomorrow. It put on some of the best super speedway racing ever. No, it wasn't your big typical packs, but that tandem and triple racing, absolutely fantastic. You saw teamwork with guys that were rivals. I mean, you saw Carl Edwards and Keselowski working together until one of them flipped the other one over. It was so much fun to watch.
So race at Talladega where 6th place finished less than 1/10 of a second back. Just wild, wild stuff. We'll see if we get more of that, but we've got a lot coming up yet here in the Sim Racers Club Premier Series. Next week, we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 134 laps in the cars of the Xfinity Series. Talk about polar opposites of things. The Xfinity cars do not drive like the next-gen cars. Las Vegas could not be more different from Richmond. That's really the intriguing part of this series for me, is not only do the racetrack change, but the cars change as well.
Which, normally I hate the racing in Las Vegas. From what I've seen from this series, the quality of drivers in the series, how these guys race each other, I'm excited for Las Vegas.
It's going to be fun. And you get a little bit more drafting in the Xfinity cars than you do with the Cup cars.
I'm going to be curious about it this season, because this season we have the low downforce package on them. No more huge, giant jet airplane spoiler on the back of things. You've got a spoiler about as big as the tiny little things on these cars now. So those Xfinity cars are going to be a handful to drive. They're going to be a ton of fun to watch.
You can use the Dale Earnhardt Jr. reference. Call them big-ass spoilers. You're good there. After Vegas, we head to Pocono, then North Wilkesboro. So, again, back-to-back just oddball racetracks. A week off, the first week of March, and then we close out the season at Rockingham and Nashville Superspeedway. We're going to finish the season with 6 straight races on tracks that are completely different from each other.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be fantastic. These drivers are going to have no time to adjust. I mean, like NASCAR, you get 7 or 8 mile-and-a-halves in a row, and then you go to a short track. As we see one hell of a move, there's going to be contact going into turn 3.
And the 44 is very slow, off-corner exit. Mike Whiting, Kevin Stone, they were using each other up there.
I wonder if he had to slam on the brakes. You could see his front brakes still glowing just to keep that car straight and not spun around.
Oh, yeah, that car just did not want to turn. We are approaching rented mule territory for the brakes on Mike Whiting's car.
Now, I know NASCAR owns IMSA now. IMSA, they allow for a brake change during the race. Are we allowed one of those here in the series?
I'll tell you what, you almost wonder if iRacing has modeled that in. Like, is there the possibility of, I don't want to say wear damage, but it's something that, can you get meatballed for using the car up too much like that?
I don't believe you can get meatballed for brake fade, but there is definitely brake fade in play. Last time I ran a GT3 car at Watkins Glen, I noticed brake fade as soon as the white flag came out, going to make a pass in turn 1, brake pedal to the floor, and I hit that wall that was about 20 feet out from the racing surface. Same one Jimmy Johnson hit that year. It was not fun.
Yes, all 7 time. Getting ready to compete for a full season in the NTT IndyCar Series. Is there a better time? Has there ever been a better time to be a race fan? NASCAR looks like it's going to be fun. IndyCar is going to be insane. Everything on dirt is crazy right now.
We've got a new car in Formula One after what is possibly the best season since Hunt Lauda or Senna Prost. I mean, last season was fantastic, and now even Formula One's going to be fun again this year. So, if you are just getting in the racing, this is the year to do it.
Taking a look back at the racetrack here, Troy Haight and A.J. Digby going to be nose to tail. I'll tell you what, these guys are hurting for tires at this point. Is maybe this where you start to make that calculation in your head of, I know I'm still 15, 20 laps out from the stop. Screw it. I got to come now.
This is going to be the point in the race where you're going to see some guy take a risk. Someone go, I'm not in the points to win this championship anymore, but I want a race win next to my name. Let's take the gamble, dive it down pit lane.
And I'll tell you what, you mentioned the point standings here. This is probably one of the considerations. Troy Haight and Tyler Seville are tied for second at 146. Kevin Stone is third at 145, or fourth, I should say, at 145. Fifth place, Will Worsler at 144. A.J. Digby at 139. John Eckhart at 138. Mike Whiting at 136. You don't get a sizable gap until you get back to ninth place Richard Smith at, he's at 129. He's only 20 points back. You can still make a huge move late in this season if you make the guess at the right time here.
Yeah, I would points that close. I don't know if I'd be wanting to taking huge gambles, but sometimes the gambler wins. At this point in the race, I wouldn't be surprised if you see one or two cars dive in, try that undercut.
I would think you'd have to. I mean, you're down to 80 laps to go here, 90 laps to go.
We are very nearing the cars being 2 seconds slower a lap on these tires versus fresh rubber.
That's what I'm saying. You can make up whatever ground you're going to lose, even losing a lap. You are more than going to make that up. And we're getting to the point where if you, using the hypothetical here, you can make it 125 laps. You stopped at lap number 42. Do the spitball math here. You could go as far as 160. But if the difference between stopping at 120 and stopping at lap 160, you're going to, the car that stops later isn't going to make up the difference once you get to a certain point. They just won't have enough laps left.
Yeah, the only way the overcut's going to win here is a bunch of guys take the undercut, go a lap down, 20, 30 laps go by, they still can't get it back, and the caution comes out.
Yeah, because at that point, even with those cars taking the wave around, you're still going to have
tires to take the wave around.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So they're going to be on old rubber, and you'll be able to easily pass that whole line of cars. Troy Haight once again having to look inside of Jason Franks. Franks way up the racetrack. Let's take a look. Let's go on board here with Jason Franks because that car is really not handling well. Seeing the 41 of Tim Knott come past. Yeah, he's off the throttle at the start-finish line. I'll tell you what, Patrick, riding on board here with Jason Franks, he is off the throttle halfway down the straightaway, barely can get back on the throttle. This is a mess to try to keep a handle on.
Yeah, if your tires are this junk, I'd be coming into the pits. You're going to make up whatever time you lose by going in the pits, grabbing fresh rubber. Because if your car is driving that slow at this point, you pitted the same laps to everyone else. As he pulls into the pits, takes my advice. It's like he's listening to me. I mean, like, everyone else is going to be having the same issues as you. If you get there, beat them to it, you're going to come out on top.
Even if it's only a couple of laps, this is still the undercut in play here. And taking a look, Johnny Avila has already come past, likely to lose, I would assume, 2 laps here, making a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, but everyone else is going to have to come down pit road. And if you're picking up 2 seconds a lap on them, that's 2 seconds you're gaining on them each lap they stay out.
Yeah, it is a huge difference that Jason Franks is going to see here. The other big part is don't screw it up on pit entry. Don't screw it up on pit exit. No speeding penalties. And
He's only going to go 1 lap down.
Yeah, he's almost 2 laps down. But when
just makes it out front.
Yep, when you see the lap time differences, it's going to be pretty insane here. Picking up the battle between Troy Haight and Tim Knott. In fact, let's show last lap times for these drivers.
I was just about to say, let's look at Frank's lap time versus Avila's lap time coming around again. Jason Frank just set the fastest lap on the racetrack versus any of the rest of the cars by about a second. If we stay green, which I'm going to commentator curse him now. If we stay green, he will have the lead if these guys wait long enough.
That's the big if. Who waits long enough? As we see Tony Patton making his way down pit lane for his final service of the night. Battle for the race lead starting to heat up here a little bit too. How about Tyler Seville starting to catch up on Johnny Avila? What was an almost 2-second gap is now down to 4/10.
Now, if I was Tyler Seville, I would get right on the bumper of Avila and instead of battling him, dive down that pit lane. Grab the fresh tires. You know Avila has to pit soon, and you're just going to pick up that time, even if it's 1 lap difference between you two. That's a full second or 2 you're gaining on him just by pitting early. You don't even have to race him for the spot. You're just going to get it.
Right. So long as you're close enough. Like, I don't think he's close enough to try it yet. But we're looking at lap times. Avila's at a 23.7. Franks is at a 22.8.
Tyler Seville is half a second behind Johnny Avila. You take that pit stop now, you pick up 1 second and Avila pits 1 lap after you, you've still got the spot. You're still in front of him. As long as you don't mess up your pit entry or exit.
That's kind of the big question. You're wondering, are you going to see the yellow? And I would imagine that's what's keeping Johnny Avila out there right now, is let everybody else pit because you don't want to run the risk of catching a poorly timed yellow. But I would imagine to the same token, though, if Johnny Avila were to pit this lap, it forces Tyler Seville's hand. He has to get on pit road before Johnny Avila does.
Yeah. Which now, something just lit a fire under Johnny Avila because he's starting to pick up a ton of time on Tyler Seville. I wonder if Seville is really thinking now, I need to dive into the pit. I wonder if he tried that time and just decided he was too fast and had to step back on the loud pedal.
Jason Franks still turning laps upwards of a second and change faster. In fact, a second and a quarter faster than Johnny Avila. By the time he runs these, if he's able to run 20 laps before they come in, he may be able to unlap himself.
I think more than definitely, and he's catching up. He might end up being the lucky dog come time for caution time if it were to come out.
Yeah, right now, John Eckhart is the driver that would be in the lucky dog position. But Franks is only a few seconds back of him. Now taking a look at the lap times, it seems like Johnny Avila has pulled away enough from Tyler Seville. Seville may have lost the chance to go after Avila for the race lead and doing it on the cycle of pit stops.
Yeah, he's got to close that gap back up to about half a second where he had it, which I don't know if he's going to be able to do at this point.
Well, he just did.
He just did it.
He got a bunch of help there from the 86 of Tony Patton. Patton stopping at lap number 121. Last lap time for Patton, 23 flat, 23.8 the lap time for Johnny Avila. The ones that really floor me that haven't stopped yet, AJ Digby, Troy Haight, Tim Knott, those guys, that's really where you're in that position where you could take the gamble.
I mean, they're 5 seconds back. That's 5 laps that Johnny Avila and Tyler Seville have to stay out, and you've got the spot from them. So, really, there is no losing here. Either you're going to go a lap down, everyone's going to pit, and you're going to get that wave around and come back around if the caution were to come out. Or if the caution doesn't come out, you've got the lead. It's really a win-win scenario right now. AJ Digby has nothing to lose by pitting now.
Jason Franks is up to the 8th position, so he would be the lucky dog if the yellow were to come out now. However, Johnny Avila just came past Kevin Stone, which would make him the lucky dog if the caution were to fly right now.
Which the lucky dog would be the luckiest person in the world right now for those lap down cars. Because with the lucky dog, unlike a wave run car, Jason Frank just passed him. Never mind.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Kevin Stone is on pit lane to make his final stop of the night.
I was going to say, but you're the lucky dog, though. That's a free set of tires you get to take. No matter what, you're going to start in front of all the wave around cars. So
yeah, Lucky Dog could potentially start as high as 6th outside of row number 3.
You start 6th no matter what. That's a free set of tires you get to take and put fresh rubber on. I wonder if AJ Digby has us on the background just listening to another tab on his computer. Because he's taken my advice. I told him he has nothing to lose. He's going to pit now, and if he loses this race, I guarantee you he's going to send me a message and say, "You're the worst crew chief in the world."
Yes. Actually, I've heard that message has already been sent to you, but again, that's kind of neither here nor there. Crew already finished on the right-hand side of the car. They're going to start working on the left-hand side. Digby will be down and away, 15.82 seconds. A little bit slow on the stop there. Kevin Stone, a very long pit stop, over 50 seconds now.
Yeah, drivers, if you are listening to this broadcast, please don't take my advice. Or do. It'd entertain me at least.
Patrick, keep an eye out here. How about it? There's Jason Franks right behind your race leader.
He is going to unlap himself here. If we stay green, he will be your leader.
And
with the pit stops, he is the effective leader right now.
And he still will stand to benefit because at this point, like you mentioned, it's a free set of tires.
Because now, no matter what, he's going to be starting 5th.
Correct. Troy Haight, Mike Whiting, both making their way down on pit lane. Jason Franks back up to the 4th position. Now he's at the very tail end of the lead lap. Oh, caution. No caution yet. But trouble for AJ Digby. That car spins down the back straightaway. Digby was able to stay to the inside and clear. We do not go yellow.
Oh, man, I was so worried that if he lost, he was going to blame it on me. Now, weight is taken off my chest. Oh, we're good.
Troy Haight coming back out onto the racetrack just in front of race leader Johnny Avila. I know that Avila, now this was kind of the game that he was going to have to play. He had to play the long game here.
And now he's locked into it. He has to hope for a caution. Whatever God he prays to, if he doesn't pray to a God, I bet he found one to pray to. He has to hope that there is a caution sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers here, my math says he comes out behind a handful of race cars at this point. The question, though, is how far behind? He's going to lose the lead of the race to Jason Franks when he comes down pit lane. The question is, how far back are they, though? Because if you're only 3 or 4 seconds back, you're going to easily make that time up because the leaders will be on significantly older tires. The problem is if you're 20 seconds or so back, you're talking about being a lap down.
Yeah, and it looks like he just lost everything. He is not going fast at all. He got passed by Tyler Seville. Or no, excuse me.
Yeah, Kevin Franks in the 17 coming past.
Yeah.
But a 24.301, the last lap time for Johnny Avila.
He is not going fast in that race car at all. He is diving down the pit lane. Now let's see how far he goes back. As well as Tyler Seville follows him in. Jason Franks will be the leader of this race. And he's going to do it by a decent chunk of time, too.
Yeah, that becomes the question here. Jason Franks making his way through turn 3. Now, if he's been in a bit of a tire-saving mode, that's where this really gets interesting.
Not only that, he is going to be your leader by 17 or so seconds. He doesn't have to push now. He doesn't have to push for a while.
Both Avila and Seville down and away off of pit road. 14.73 seconds, the time of the stop for Johnny Avila. Tyler Seville down in 15.12 seconds. Both of those drivers are back on the racetrack, but like you said, Patrick, Johnny Avila 14 seconds behind Jason Franks.
I thought he would go a lot further back than that. Only being 13 seconds back, and now he's on much fresher tires. I think this is still Johnny Avila's race. I would put money on it.
It's going to be close, I think, here. Because
he's
eventually
already closed that gap down to about 12 seconds.
Yes, the question becomes, and the last lap time for Jason Franks, 23.804. Now, he was in a little bit of lap traffic there, but he, again, 23.718, the lap time for Franks. Johnny Avila, 22.769. He's a second faster. But at a certain point here, the tires are going to equalize. That was Johnny Avila's, or Jason Franks' hope, was that by the time Avila started to get close, Avila's tires would have fallen off and they would go back to running about similar lap times.
Yeah, Franks just has to hold on to what he has and then take a note from me, stare in that rearview mirror, and play the bizzle. And caution is out after every car on the racetrack
yes,
has hit.
Trouble for Johnny Avila.
Oh, no.
Trouble.
I am so glad I didn't put money on that one.
Johnny Avila having an issue. Richard Smith also going to be involved with this one. See what happened here on the entry to turn 1 for Johnny Avila. Oh, the car just got loose. Hard into the outside safer barrier.
Damage in the rear of it.
Oh, and then he got absolutely pile driven in the left front corner. Oh, what a heartbreaker for Johnny Avila.
I was going to say that car might have been savable before. It's got to have some decent damage now. And Jason Frank's actually going to be taking the pit stop.
I think this is brilliant. absolutely brilliant by Jason Franks. If he came down, nobody else was coming with him. And most of these cars stopped at lap 140-ish.
He's going to have 10-lap fresher tires. He is golden to the end of this race. He can just push, push, push.
Yeah, that may be all that it takes, too.
Or, better yet, he can save this fresh rubber. He doesn't have to push. Let the guys in front of him really get on it, really beat and bang each other, ruin their tires. 10 laps to go in the race, he steps on the loud pedal and drives past them like they're standing still.
Yep, that's, I think, where this is going to be a huge play for Tyler Seville. Johnny Avila also on pit road, as is John Eckhart and A.J. Digby. So Franks is going to restart 4th in this race. Tyler Seville making the stop at lap number 148. It's only less than 10 laps, 8 laps on that set of tires. Troy Haight stopping at lap 141. Tim Knott stopping at 142. We went from a strategy game to game on.
Yeah, this is going to be a loud pedal gets really loud race now. These guys, I wouldn't be surprised there's not a straight body panel on any of these cars. Whoever makes these body panels is going to be a very, very, very rich man at the end of this race.
Taking a look here at the 63 of Johnny Avila. What a heartbreaker for Avila. 34.4 seconds, the time of the stop after the required repairs. And if the damage that we saw in the real world is any indication, that car may not want to play nice anyway when he gets back out here at speed.
Yeah, if it was just that rear panel he hit, I would have said he would have been all right. But getting doored in the side like that, I wouldn't be surprised if his virtual driver has a little concussion inside that car. That was a tough hit.
Almost as concussed as the guy in the color commentator's chair tonight. Tyler Seville going to be your race leader over Troy Haight. They will restart on the front row. Tim Knott and Jason Franks will occupy row number 2. Richard Fletcher, A.J. Digby on row 3. How about Fletcher up 8 spots from where he started the race tonight? Johnny Avila is going to restart this race on the lead lap in the 8th position. You talked a little bit about the mirror driving and blocking like it's your job. There may be a lot of that going on because this is not like Johnny Avila's restarting in the 13th row or something.
Yeah, he's if that car still drives good, he's going to be a threat. This is when I'd hit that Alt-K button, start moving your mirror down right in front of your windscreen and blowing it up to be huge.
Pace truck is in. Green flag goes back in the air. Not a good restart at all for Troy Haight. Bottles up the field a little bit here. Tim Knott down to the inside. He's going to go for a second. Jason Franks all over the deck lid.
Jason Franks has to be careful here. He's on fresh, cold tires right now. He's got to wait a little bit, let those things heat up, and then he could step right on that nitrous button. I mean, danger to manifold be shown right up on that screen, but he's going to push hard.
Yeah, you sort of have to because here comes Johnny Avila down inside. 3 wide off at turn number 2. Oh, they're making contact.
He almost got taken out.
Wow. What a save by John Eckhart in that Kyle Busch-themed number 18 M&M's Toyota. Good
Johnny
Lord, that
Avila
was close.
To go. And here we go, Jason Franks. I was just saying it. He's got to take careful on those cold tires. What a save! Man, every driver in the field is going to have to go play the lotto after this race. Wow!
Take a look here and see what happened to Franks. Oh, man, that's almost like having that little bit too much rear brake bias.
He must have been taking notes from Travis Pastrana before this race because what a save.
Great save, but the problem now is he's back to 7th, and he's going to have to get past Johnny Avila, Troy Haight, Tim Knott, and Tyler Seville if he wants a shot at the win here.
The good news is his rear tires are hot now.
That's one way of putting it. Oh, big wiggle there. Oh, buddy, good save for the 23 of Richard Smith. Smith currently running in the 12th position, a handful of laps, in fact, a couple of handfuls of laps down. Looking back to the front of the field here, Tyler Seville has not been able to shake Tim Knott. So we see trouble on the racetrack for Richard Fletcher. See what happened here to the 43 machine. Yeah, a little bit too much throttle off the corner. Oh, man, that was a big hit, though. I quite frankly surprised that did not draw a caution flag.
I'm also surprised. That's the first time I've seen the nose torn off of one of these things and making them look like modifieds.
He hit a ton. Fletcher able to get the car on the pit lane. Jason Franks has worked his way back up to the 6th position, but he's going to have to get a move on here as we are down to 34 laps to go. A little bit further back here. Here is the aforementioned Jason Franks working. Oh, he gets into Digby. Digby goes around. Caution is out on the speedway.
Digby not having a good last 20 laps or so.
Lap 169. AJ Digby goes around in the corner.
Do Weather Center sponsor lap 169? Do you know?
They should. There's Punterino from the 7 of Jason Franks, excuse me.
Oh, man.
No Punterino, please. This is going to bring everybody down pit lane.
This is going to even your field right back up.
I'll tell you
man.
what, though, here, Patrick. I agree with John Eckhart here. You don't have that many laps on the tires. So I want to save a set in the box if we get that restart with 15 to go, 20 to go. I want super fresh dance shoes on my girl.
Part of me wants to agree with you, and part of me says I don't know. I think I would have taken tires this time around. I don't know if he'll be able to hold them off for that next 20 or so laps. You got to remember with the green-white checker, you only have 2 laps to get them going. And these tires take about 3 to 4 laps to warm up. So you throw fresh tires on for a green-white checker, there's no way you're going to get those positions back.
This is gonna be a fun one to watch here. We will have the 23 of Richard Smith getting a lap back as he is in front of the race leader, so he'll get the wave around. That will mean he will be working personal lap number 162, as the race leaders are currently working lap number 170. So needs a lot more caution help than that late in this race. Jason Franks coming in. How about it? Jason Franks comes down pit road, a 2-tire change, 7.52 seconds the time of the stop. He will restart on the outside of row number 1. Tyler Seville, Tim Knott on row number 2. Johnny Avila, Troy Haight on row 3.
I have not driven the next-gen car on 2 tires, but I can tell you the Gen 6 car Little sketchy out there on 2 tires. Definitely goes faster, but I'd be a little bit scared about that right rear tire.
Get after it, boys. This is going to be an absolute shootout.
All right, Chris, let's do it. Over-under on the next caution. Let's put the over-under at lap 180.
I'm going to take the over.
All right, I'll take the under then.
I honestly think this goes clean to the end. However, with that being said, this series has averaged 6 cautions. And I believe this is caution number 6.
Now, you've got your pole sitter right now on old rubber. You've got your outside pole sitter on old rubber on the left, new rubber on the right. And then you've got cars behind them with fresh rubber on them. I just don't see how there's not going to be a roadblock at the front of this thing that these guys in the back are going to try barreling through.
Well, it's that question of getting the new tires warmed up. We'll see how this is going to play out. Green flag goes in the air. Patrick, you may get your wish. One car spinning down to the inside. That's Mike Whiting. He got down onto the grass. We will stay green. Eckhart holds on to the race lead thus far. Avila trying to get to the inside of Franks. He may be hung out to dry here. Oh, Avila slides up the racetrack. They almost make contact. Frank's able to come around on the outside. Here's Tim not looking inside of Avila.
Man, John Eckhart is really just driving out of his mirror, really trying to keep Tyler Seville behind. I don't know how many laps he can do that before Seville just says just about that and bumps him a little bit.
And Tim knocks down to the inside wall.
Oh, man. They stay green.
Seville trying to get inside of Eckhart down to turn 1. He'll get it done, but is he going to slide too far up? How about Jason Franks on the outside?
He's going to get one hell of a run coming down here as long as Eckhart doesn't slide up into him coming into turn 3.
Avila now down.
Almost getting into Eckhart.
Yep, Avila down to the inside of Eckhart. He had to back out of it on entry. That's going to let Digby challenge on the outside of the racetrack. Three wide at the entry to 3. This is going to go well. Avila slides up the racetrack. Troy Haight now looking to the inside of Eckhart. Avila and Digby going to be side by side for the 3rd position. Jason Franks holding on to 2nd right now.
You know, I thought 2 tires was going to be death, but he seems to be doing a pretty good job of it. If he comes home with a 2nd place finish, it's not a bad night for him.
Well, and let's go back to the very beginning of the cycle of pit stops when Franks made the undercut call. He was running inside, he was running 3rd or 4th, but he had fallen all the way back to like 6th because of the fall off on the tires. That call is what got him back up inside the top 3 or 4, got a little bit of help from the caution flag. That absolutely is call of the race right now. If Franks is able to hold on.
He saved his night. If he holds on, even comes home with a top 3, he made the right call and took a bad night and made it good.
Everything's starting to single file out here as we are down to 20 laps to go at Richmond Raceway. Troy Haight looking to the inside of Avila.
I just want to talk about A.J. Digby right now. The unluckiest guy in the history of Richmond Motor Speedway is already back up standing on the podium right now. And he is chasing down Jason Franks trying to get that 2nd spot.
That car is absolutely beat to crap tonight. The left side does not look good. The right side looks okay.
I mean, he's playing the game Ty Dillon was playing. The only thing he hasn't hit yet was the pace car and the lotto. And he's getting pretty close to hitting the lotto, too.
Hitting a lotto?
As he's going to easily come around A.J. Digby. The question now is, can he chase down Tyler Seville and get that top spot?
Oh, man, this is going to be fun to watch late in this race. A.J. Digby clears Jason Franks. Johnny Avila going to try to do the same thing at the entrance to turn number 3. Here's where I think that 2-tire call may have hurt Franks a little bit.
I was going to say, I think it's a little too early in this one to take those 2 tires. But now seeing that it's effective for the first 10 or so laps, might play out in how we see the rest of the season go on.
That's going to be especially true at places like Rockingham, North Wilkesboro. We do have some shorter racetracks that we're going to visit late in this season. That little nugget that you keep in the back of your head, that the restart with 10 to go, you can take 2 tires. Maybe not with 20. And all in all, still a good run for Franks here. He'll be 5th as they cross the start-finish line. Now down to 15 to go here in this one. And as we mentioned, coming up next week for the Sim Racers Club, we're going to do something completely different. NASCAR Xfinity Series cars at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Style of racing will be different. The strategy games will be different. Still going to be a lot of fun to watch, but we've got a lot to go here. And this one is Tyler Seville, A.J. Digby, Johnny Avila, now your top 3. You almost wonder here, Patrick, if we got a caution now, could Franks come in and take the 2 left side tires that he has remaining? Could that be a benefit?
I don't think so. Although, with the independent rear suspension, I don't know how 2 left sides are going to affect the car. The way I build most of my setups when I do the open wheel stuff is I base most of my driving off the left front tire when I'm setting the car up. So maybe left sides is the answer with these fully independent suspension cars.
And I'll tell you,
it's something we'll have to see if the caution comes out.
I'll tell you what here, Patrick. Last time this series was at Richmond Raceway back in September. Highest finishing driver that has entered tonight, A.J. Digby. Started 19th, finished 5th. This is definitely a racetrack that he likes and, quite frankly, is doing some fun things with here tonight. Now, I guess, looking ahead to the front of the field as we are down to 10 laps to go. This is, well, quite frankly, Tyler Seville doing Tyler Seville things.
Yeah, it's his race to lose at this point.
If he comes away with a victory tonight, he will tie Will Worsler for most wins among active drivers. And do it in his 156th and class-leading start here. He's been around this league a long time. 72 top 5s. 71 entering tonight. 107 top 10s. The numbers, though, are really pretty incredible here. Looking at the percentage of top 10 finishes, Jason Franks is in the top 10 80% of the time. Johnny Avila, 73% of the time. Tyler Seville, 69% of the time. As always, we are seeing the cream rise to the top in this one. No real surprises here that Tyler Seville would be out front coming to the end at Richmond.
A.J. Digby looks like he's a little bit faster in the mid-corner. If we were to get a caution late here and we get a green-white checker, I don't know if it's going to be so easy for Tyler Seville. You get into that mid-corner just right, you give Tyler Seville just a little bit of a bump, and I think that could shake things up. I just don't see it unless we get a caution.
Closest battle on the racetrack right now is Johnny Avila and Troy Haight, separated by about 0.4 of a second. But A.J. Digby has gotten the gap inside of 1 second to race leader Tyler Seville. He's closing. The problem is, may not be fast enough here. As we are down to 5, now 4 laps to go. And I'll tell you what here, Patrick, while we were talking pitch strategy with Jason Franks and how Johnny Avila may come out of this with when he made his stop, the guy we didn't talk about much at all was Tyler Seville. He stayed on Avila's bumper, made the pit stop at the same time as Johnny Avila did, and then has basically controlled things from there.
Yeah, I mean, he was really playing the Kevin Harvick strategy. Don't have your name mentioned at all. Sit there quietly. End of the race comes. They're approaching the white flag, and he's in the lead. Kind of by surprise. It's not really a surprise, but it's the kind of surprise Kevin Harvick puts on all the time.
Yeah, white flag is out. 1 lap to go for Tyler Seville. What has been a very, very good run thus far here this evening. Seville clean and green down the back straightaway for the final time. He'll come through, turns 3 and 4. See that checkered flag in the air. Tyler Seville wins at Richmond. A.J. Digby, Johnny Avila will round out the podium. Troy Haight and Jason Franks will complete the top 5.
Oh, what a fantastic race. Richmond always puts on great racing. Even if there's a lot of cautions in the race, Richmond still does it right.
I tell you what, it's almost that's sort of the expectation a little bit here. Is you're going to get a little bit of beating and banging. You're going to get a little bit of the fun and frivolity stuff, but we got to see some great side-by-side racing. We got to see the pitch strategy come into play and some of those games. This really was everything you could ask for in a race.
And you really couldn't tell until pretty much just the end if this was going to be a strategy race or if it was going to be a beating and banging race. And it kind of put both on really, really, really well. I couldn't tell if we were watching Pocono or if we were watching Daytona, and I think that's what this track does right.
Absolutely. I would agree with you on that one. Let's get your race results here before we head off to the Victory Lane interviews. Tyler Seville getting the race win by 1.233 seconds over A.J. Digby. Johnny Avila coming home third. Troy Haight, Jason Franks round out the top 5. John Eckhart, Tim Knott, and Michael Whiting round out the cars finishing tonight on the lead lap. Tony Patton finishing 1 lap down in the 9th position. Kevin Stone 2 laps behind in 10th. Richard Smith 8 laps behind in the 11th position. Richard Fletcher 29 laps down in 12th. And Will Worsler going out very, very early in this one. Out of the race and finishing 168 laps down.
Almost was a very nice amount of laps down, but just missed that.
Almost.
Almost.
Let's start to get your top finishing drivers here. How about it? Another 1, 2, 3 for Will Worsler Racing. And they are going to be led home tonight by your race winner, Mr. Tyler Seville. I'll tell you what, Tyler, I just remarked to Patrick here that we hardly talked about you all night. You were there inside the top 3, kind of hanging out within general striking distance of Johnny, but all of a sudden we get to the end of the race, and here you are out front. Congratulations. Tell us about the night.
Thank you. The name of the game tonight was to just try to save your tires and not overdrive the corner. It seems like everybody that got in trouble was overdriving the corner of some sorts. So I knew I could hang with Johnny. I didn't know if I had enough to get around him, but then when he had his issues, it just opened the door wide open for us and took advantage tonight.
Was there any concern at all when you saw Jason Franks make the early pit stop that if the race went green the rest of the way, you could be fighting for second?
I knew tires were a big deal from practice. I was in my own world and didn't pay attention to when anybody else pitted. It was definitely going to be interesting to see how quickly we were going to be able to run him down, if we were able to run him down with how big of a lead he had.
Well, all in all, it's not a bad night here. Once again, Will Worsler Racing bringing home a 1-2-3 finish. It seems like you guys just absolutely nail it week in and week out. The teamwork is good. The setups are good. I would imagine the communications in the Discord room are pretty darn good as well. Really not much more you can ask for in terms of the team effort.
Right, that's one of the things with Worsler Racing that we really pride ourselves on is that our teamwork. Like if somebody wins, that's a team win, and we're all thrilled. Especially to have a 1-2-3 finish. Richard was running really good, but until he had his problems, and then Will had a couple problems to start the race. But anytime that we can get one of these WWR cars in victory lane, it's a victory for everyone.
Well, we're getting ready to head off to the Xfinity Series cars in Las Vegas next week. What do you think here? Is we're going to be swapping cars again and doing something completely different 1 week from tonight?
I'm looking forward to it. I've had some good runs in the B car. And Vegas is a great track to go to. I can't wait. Looking forward to it.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations once again, tying Will Worsler for most active driver wins in series history at 13, doing it in your 156th career start. Congratulations on that, and let's make sure you get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous in here before we let you out of here.
Yeah, I got to thank Arch Telecom for being the sponsor on the car this year, and then shout out to all my teammates and the good runs they had, Johnny, AJ, and then Richard and Will. And then thank you guys for the broadcast, and thanks to Sam and Jordan for putting this league on.
All right, there you go. Clearwater, Florida. Is Tyler Seville your winner here tonight at Richmond? Let's move along here and pick up our runner-up finisher tonight, Mr. A.J. Digby. And I'll tell you what here, A.J., at one point early in this race, you were sideways through the infield. How in the heck did you get back up here to finish second? Was it just some good time cautions, or what was the story there?
Well, the 14 Cars race report reads out like a children's story about perseverance, really. It was sideways twice, or three times actually in this race, once of which completely my own fault. But went from 10th to, I think, 4th and was close to 3rd, and then was in the infield like you talked about. And then solo spun on the backstretch, but no caution, was able to keep it going, and then was up to 3rd before that had happened, before that round of pit stops, and then post that next caution was also spun around and had to come from the back again to finish out the race there. So yeah, this 14 rocket ship was really a long burn rocket ship. I didn't feel very confident on short runs. I didn't really put much into qualifying because I knew I was awful at it, and was focused on just race pace, and knew that I was somebody who was very good at conserving tires and being able to utilize that on the long run. And it definitely showed up here tonight, where this 14 car was really fast towards the end of a run. So all in all, I'm very happy with that second place. I would have liked to have not had it be as much of a struggle as it was, but at the end of the day, to wind up second in a race where I knew I didn't have short run speed, I'm very happy with. And all in all, just happy to walk away with the podium and make it a 1-2-3 podium as well for us.
Yeah, that was we just asked Tyler about that. Are your teammates involved there in talking you through the race there? Where I would imagine it's probably pretty easy to get down on yourself a little bit mid race. You've had some issues. What was the communications like there in the room where were the other guys picking you up? What was going on there?
There's definitely times where one of us is down or feeling a little bit down about ourselves after an incident on track, and we pick each other up very well. we're a team that works really well together, and that's probably the best part is we really enjoy being around each other, being together, being able to talk, and that really helps us to then be able to translate it onto the track and onto racing. And hey, this is how I've found time. This is how I've been faster. And we're very collaborative. And that's just the best part of it is that we get along so well. Actually, in this race specifically, I didn't feel too down on myself because I knew that on that first run I went from like 10th to 4th. And I knew that I had long run speed. So then I knew that if I was able to replicate those scenarios, I would be able to get myself back up to the front. I didn't expect it to be as challenging as it was, but I knew that I had the speed for it in the long run, so I knew that I was capable. It's not like, oh, I ruined my only chance. I knew that it was definitely about to happen. So I would say this week I wasn't down on myself that much at all. But the other guys help to keep you focused when your tempers start to flare up a little bit. So definitely not fun getting spun around twice, and so that was where they helped me out the most tonight. But yeah, it's a very collaborative environment, and it's people that I enjoy being around, and that's what makes it the most fun.
Well, last question here for you. Second race in a row that you've been the hard charger here at Richmond Raceway. Last September going 19th to 5th. Tonight gaining 7 spots. So starting 9th, finishing 2nd. You must absolutely love this place, at least how the track races anyway.
It's really interesting because I don't necessarily love Richmond, but I'm very good at conserving tire at Richmond, and it's a place that I feel like a lot of people eat tires up. And as that last race result showed as well, I cannot qualify here whatsoever. I have no short run speed, but if you give me a little bit of green flag run where tires can come into play, I can save them, I would say, as well, if not better than anybody, and kept myself alive in both of those races to come up with good finishes. So it's really not a track that I like, and it's not a track that's great for double amputees being back and forth on the brake so much, but it's a track that I've had success at when given the opportunity for it to play into my strength. So yeah, all in all, with this next-gen car, I'm still trying to figure it out, still trying to learn it, but I would say that so far it seems like the long run plays to my suit in some of these tracks where that right rear matters.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations once again on the runner-up finish here tonight. Let's make sure you get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous in before we let you out of here.
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks to you guys for the broadcast. I love watching the races afterwards and even watching some of the other series that you broadcast. It's always a pleasure and fun to watch those broadcasts. Got to thank Custom Paints and Diecast on the car for building the rocket ship that I have, Will Warsaw Racing, and all the guys on that team and within the race, and then everybody in the series and the league admins that run it for allowing these great races to happen week in and week out and putting them on, and hopefully we can get the numbers up a little bit. But I would say that we definitely put on a show out here, so hopefully in the future we'll get a couple more people. But for now, even the minimal people that we have, it's a good race for such a small field.
Yeah, these have been a ton of fun to watch, and thank you very much for the kind words, AJ. We really appreciate it. And let's bring in our third place finisher here tonight, Mr. Johnny Avila. And I tell you what, bud, I would imagine you're probably kicking yourself a little bit. A fantastic run, kind of went down the tubes, overcooking turn 1, and then,
Yep.
well, at that point, you were a victim of circumstance after that.
Yeah. I guess I was just pushing a little too hard, but it sucks because after that spin and I was stopped on track, I didn't hit the wall too hard, so I was going to be fine. It was just that second impact that really hurt my car. I was down on engine power. I had like 2 minutes of damage, so I'm surprised I was able to still manage to get third place out of it. So I guess best out of worst situation.
Yeah, that was one of those. I mean, we're looking at the replay we have up now. Your car is absolutely knocked in sideways. How does this car compare to the old Cup car and the Xfinity Series car in terms of how it'll take that damage, though?
It's really hit and miss because I've had races in the past where like I had 8 minutes required. I sat in the pits, got everything fixed. Car felt like brand new. And then there's been other instances where I brushed the wall the wrong way, get 30 seconds of damage, the car is toast. So it's luck sometimes.
Well, taking a look here at where the point standings were heading into tonight, you had a 24-point lead over Troy and Tyler. Obviously, that's going to shrink a little bit, but I would imagine now we're halfway through the season, probably starting to feel like you're able to control your own destiny at this point.
Yeah, you could say, but there's so much that can happen, and especially in these next gen cars, Tyler and AJ have shown like a lot of consistent speed. So I gotta stay on my toes. Can't let them catch up too much.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch here. Same question we asked Tyler here. What are you thinking as we head off to the Xfinity cars next week at Vegas?
I love the Xfinity cars, so if we do run them next week, it'll be great. I know Will really enjoys them, so he'll be up there too. It'll be fun.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations once again on the podium finish here tonight, and let's make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to just shout out my grandfather. He actually passed away the day before the Auto Club race. So I know he used to like watching these races, and it made him proud when I did good. So I'm gonna try and bring home the championship for him. And then I gotta thank everybody that puts this league together, because it's fun to come together, race with my teammates, just hang out with them every single week. It's been a big help. And then I gotta thank you guys up in the booth. At least we have the opportunity to watch these races back. It's always great. And then lastly, I gotta thank my sponsors, Bulldog, Roofworks. It's good to have a sponsor that supports you.
All right, Johnny. Well, first off, our condolences from our entire NRN family to yours. And once again, congratulations on the third place finish here this evening. And I'll tell you what, Patrick, we heard a lot of consistency out of these drivers in terms of kind of what they were seeing, what they were feeling. Was their perception of what they saw behind the wheel kind of matching what you saw from up here in the booth?
Yes. Tires, 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 tires. These cars eat tires. This track eats tires. And that's what won Dollar the race, and it's the reason your top three is your top three.
Yeah, they were impressive tonight. I mean, AJ was probably the show of the race, but we got to see a little bit of everything. AJ with a great recovery, well, a great drive, period, to get to the front, a great recovery drive, does it again to get back towards the front. Jason Franks playing the strategy game. Tyler and Johnny were in lockstep the whole race. This really was a race that had a little bit of everything to it.
Not only did it have a little bit of everything, I want to talk about AJ Digby for a second. At one point, I was calling him the unluckiest driver in the history of Richmond Speedway. And he comes home and brings it home in second place, gets the hard charger of the night. I mean, do we want to call him the unluckiest dude in the history of Richmond, or do we want to call him probably one of the best here?
I would say you got a pretty darn good, quite frankly. He really was an impressive part of the show here tonight. But with that, it's almost time for us to get out of here. Have to say a huge thank you to everybody that helps make these broadcasts possible, including Sim Speed Shop, the Sim Racers Club for having us on board as their broadcast partner. We are looking forward to a big week of racing action coming up. Tomorrow night, it'll be the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. We are back on Monday with the Silver Crowns at Dover International Speedway. Love the Silver Crowns at Dover. That one's going to be wild. We're right back here on Wednesday night with the Sim Racers Club. And oh, by the way, pretty sure the High Side Hustle is coming back tomorrow night. Burt Wojcik, Adam Rubright kicking off season number 2 of the High Side Hustle. Cannot wait to get Bert and Ernie, Dumb and Dumber, whatever you want to call them, back on the air together. That one's going to be a lot of fun.
But if they're Dumb and Dumber, you should get me on the air with them.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? That might actually be something that has to happen here. All right, well, with that, we are getting out of here. For Patrick Byrne, camera design tonight by Mr. Connor Baldwin. My name is Chris Graham, and for everybody here at the National Racing Network, we look forward to talking to you all soon. Have a good night, everybody.